people attending. Before we start, please could I have nominations for a chair?
For chair.
Thank you. Second, please. Thank you.
All right, thank you. First thing I'd like to do is I'd like to a proposal for a vice chair. I, from the chair, propose David Warren.
I'll second that.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to welcome you to the Leisure and Environment Committee of March. The first thing on the agenda is public comment. Are any members of the public here present today wanting to say anything? Okay. Due to the confidential nature of the business of item 11/311 under the Public Body Admission to Meeting Act 1960, Section 3, a motion to exclude members of the public and press during discussions of this items will be considered by councillors and public bodies admissions to the meeting at 1960, Section 3. So the first thing is apologies for absence and consider the reasons given.
Thank you, Chair. So apologies for absence from Councillor Jamie Locke for personal reasons and Councillor Roy Spinner for personal reasons.
Any from the floor?
Yes, one from me. I'm online in the meeting. I can't come tonight, so technically it's apologies, but I am here. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Any declarations of interest? Okay, moving on. 11/301 minutes. Oh, sorry.
Should validate. We agree that the apologies were done. Accepted.
So declarations of interest. Has any members got any interest on the agenda tonight? Okay. Moving on to 11/304 minutes to prove the correct record of minutes for the meeting held on the 12th of January 2026. Can I say they're approved?
Yeah.
Thank you. No.
Yes.
Okay, 11/305, feedback from a cooperative non-voting member. Consider a verbal update. So to you, Dave.
Yeah, you're fed up with you. Right, good evening. I seem to repeat myself time and time again. Let's start with the yearly increase of rental costs to the tenant. In the last few years, the tenants have lost the use of skips, water has been charged for, we have lost our winter judging, and I'm not sure if the summer judging will take place this year. It did not happen in 2025. Let me address the judging first. It should go back to what it was. Maybe saving money, but not giving monetary reward, gift tokens, etc. Tenants look forward to this, and it gives them a sense of pride and helps keep plots cultivated. I have found recently plots have been left with large amounts of rubbish, and I'd like to thank Adam and the team for helping with this. However, the council clearing site should not be required. It's up to the tenants to leave their plots clean after vacation as the terms and conditions in their contract. I belong to many allotment sites and have asked the question about deposits. Many council sites have adopted the deposit scheme, ranging from little as £20 to £100 for new tenants. One even asked for initial rental top to be doubled in the first year of tenancy. If the town council adopted the deposit scheme, monies would be available to clean vacated plots. Just to add, at a Lockham Association meeting, all reps were in favour of this. I'd like to mention once again that new tenants have given the choice to allow their reps to have contact details. The choice being theirs, and this should be added to the tenants' allotment agreement, bearing in mind the Freedom of Information Act. And I think that's very important because we have weekends where we can't get in touch with the council. Something goes wrong, sheds broke into. I don't know who the people are. I know them to look at, but I don't know the contact details. And if they sign a disclaimer on the tenants' agreement, that there's their choice. We can either have their number or not. If I got their number, it's going to help them out. And the other thing is, during the week, when they're having to phone Lucy all the time, I can sort these problems out if I've got that tenant's number. They come back with me. So, it's saving the council a lot of work as well for changing the tenants' agreement. Right. We're going through that one. Moving on, policing. The state of our 11 sites. Your reps can report as much as they can about the conditions of the sites, but I truly don't think the council, no disrespect to anybody, but I truly don't think the council should understand how bad the situation is becoming. May I suggest that bi-monthly inspections are carried out with photograph stage, and this should be done with the wardens and reps. I personally would volunteer to help the wardens on the inspection of sites. The sites do need regular inspections, they really do. I mean, it's not just my site, it's all 11 sites. And if you want to go into positive equity, you've got to make these allotments be viable for the council in the first place. You can't waste money. So the inspections are helping that, and also, what I was going to say now. The inspections helping that, and also the deposits on the site. It needs to be changed in the tenants' agreement. The Lockham Association, when I went to the meeting, they're all in favour of it also. I can't see it difficult to do proper bi-monthly inspections. And like I said, I'm available if people want me to go down and all the 11 sites and have a look really, tell you what I think. You can't, no disrespect at all, you can't sit in the office. I can phone Lucy up and tell her that you can't visualise what I'm actually seeing, And you need to hit the hammer on the head and also stop the council wasting money with, not only wasting money, but using money rather than this team having to clear up when the tenants aren't in with their agreements. They just, they sign the agreement, nobody worries about it.
All right, thank you. Do you want to respond to that, David?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Thank you, Dave.
Right.
I think, we're aware of all of the issues and comments that you've made, and we're working through them as best we can. Summer judging is definitely on the Parks Engagement Officer's list. She knows everyone's keen for it, so that is not top of the list, but it's definitely on the job list. So I'm sure she'll sit down with you and have a conversation about that. So we reintroduce it in a really positive way, because yes, that's all about celebrating really good practice. We're looking at the paperwork behind the scenes. We're, changing things, updating things, looking at tenancies, looking at role descriptions for tenant reps, so that everyone is really clear on what we're asking everyone to do and not do, and that perfectly understand what you're saying about clearing plots that have been left in a poor state. But to a certain extent, we're still in the forming stage. We're still trying to get straight. And so we're still learning together, aren't we, and pulling all of this together. So we're going to have to mop up some stuff and then get it right going forward. So just hold that thought. It's really helpful. We're getting there. We have had a discussion about contact details. And at the moment, the view is that from a data protection point of view, we can't give out details. But what we are going to do is ask if tenants, make sure that tenant reps have a role description, and within that role description, it says you're allowed to informally gather the contact details of, the tenants that are on your site. But what we can't do is provide them.
No, I'm not asking that. What I'm saying is if when they sign the tenants agreement, there's a disclaimer on there. They can choose whether to give the rep.
I don't think we even need to do that. If they want to give you their details, they can give you their details. That's fine.
And I've got to physically see them to get those details.
Okay.
So, but if it's actually in the tenants agreement, they got a choice. They've given the details, yes or no. If they say no, so be it. But for their own safeguarding, if they tick the box and say yes, the reps can contact them straight away. Most of the reps are on site once or twice a week. they know if there's a problem. I mean, on my side, I'm down there every day, but there's been break-ins before. All I can do when there's a break-in is fix a lock on the door, because I don't know where the tenants are or where they are. I've got no contact details, put a lock on the door, and on Monday phone the council up. You know,
All right.
the weekend's the worst thing.
Okay, thank you, Dave. Yeah, I think we've understood that. So I think Amanda's wanting to come in and just maybe answer some of your questions.
Thank you, Chair. In terms of GDPR, it does seem that it should be simple, but in actual fact it isn't. We need to be really careful about sharing data. And unfortunately, as tenant reps, you have no legal basis actually to have that data. And also, if any consent is given, it can be withdrawn at any time. So whereas the town council, we have a legal basis to collect data because we are providing them a service, if we are unable to share it with non-staff of the council because you will not have a legal basis to hold that information. And I know it does sound ridiculous.
I'm not saying 16 tenants. I'm saying new tenants.
But the same goes with them as well.
I just can't understand that.
That's the law when it comes to data protection, I'm afraid.
So if I ask my next door neighbour his telephone number, I'll break the law,
Well, no, because you're collecting that on an informal basis. It's very different when you have two individuals who want to share data, but because we're a public body and we're collecting data for a specific purpose for ourselves, we are unable to share it. And I can appreciate it would be very useful to share the data, but in this case, as a data protection officer, I wouldn't suggest doing that at all.
Andy.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Dave, the council has a tariff tied through GDPR. However, I don't see that there's any reason why the tenant reps can't gather contact details from their directly from the tenants on an informal basis. Yeah. So I think that is no different than sharing a friend's contact details. So it's a mutual support group there, isn't it? Yeah, right. On the occasions where a break-in or anything should happen. So I think my suggestion would be that you would
just get it from the tenants.
Get it from the tenants, yeah. We can't do it or supply it on your behalf. Yeah. Okay. Unfortunately.
Ashley.
Yeah, just want to actually find a specific point out regarding this GDPR. It's obvious to me we've started the meeting tonight and we've had a disclaimer read out tonight, whether somebody doesn't want to be part of the meeting or present at the meeting, so they don't want recording it happening. Isn't that the same if somebody disclaims it on an agreement? They're disclaiming it. They're saying, "Well, I'm happy to be contacted."
No, not quite, because Dave is not staff.
No. On the contract that the council does.
Yeah, but we're giving it to a non-staff member. In effect, Dave's a volunteer.
Can I? So the reason why as well is we don't, Dave, obviously we know Dave, but we don't know what he does with that information. It's what happens beyond that.
So it's the transfer. It's the point, it's about the transfer.
So if somebody withdrew that information, I can't guarantee Dave would delete that.
Yeah. No, that's fine.
Sort of the control of it.
Okay. So moving on, does anyone else have any questions or anything else before we move on? Yeah, Wes.
Thank you, Chair. Question for, I guess, Katie, I suppose. Elizabeth Flats has still got the same issue, I suppose, what we had 2 months ago. So it's obviously the low percentage take up is because of the problems around it.
That's not really anything to do with what Dave was talking about. I just meant,
yeah. Oh, sorry, I'm stuck out of the mind. Yeah, sorry.
So where are we? 11 Bleak 306 allotment letting availability report. Just to consider a report by the deputy clerk attached on page 6. And that was correct, but I will publish this agenda.
Thank you, Chair. So just a quick update. There has been some movement on plots as the weather's getting a bit better. We're seeing an increase. Gornap, there has been one taken recently. So that's down to 4. Milford Dip, 1 has been taken recently, and the other one is being looked at. And Rustywell, that plot has just been taken over. And Sunningdale 2 have just been taken over at Sunningdale, meaning there's 19 vacant at the moment. There is one coming up at Turners Barn Lane, but I don't believe that one will take long to be tenanted. Any questions?
Yeah, any questions?
Myself, some sort of reply to mine about Elizabeth Flats.
Sorry, what was the question?
Why take up so low still in comparison? I mean, it hasn't really changed much. So I don't think it's been 2 months, has it, really?
I think it is the same issues. Yeah.
Okay, I just want to clarify that. Lovely.
If I could. There's 100% occupancy on Hillcrest, Larkhill, Monksdale, Newton, Newtown and Turners Barn Lane. What sort of waiting list do we have at the moment for plots?
So I had a look today before we come to the meeting, and Larkhill and Monksdale are our most popular waitings at the moment. I do think that's due to location, because they're that side of town, and they're not big sites. Larkhill's obviously a lot bigger than Hillcrest. Monksdale. Monksdale's a very small site.
So how many do you think is on the list in total?
In total, 25 people.
25 people looking for plots.
They're not just looking for plots. You'll have somebody at, say, Rustywell wanting a certain plot. You want somebody at Sunningdale that wants half a plot. You want somebody...
I get
yeah.
But
So
we're talking about 25 in need.
Yeah, but they're not all happy with what's vacant.
No. And what I wanted to add to that is if there's a latent position where we're under providing, is there a chance that we can start to expand allotments and put on some more allotments somewhere?
I don't believe we will ever
Well,
be in that
I'm
position,
just
but
posing the question.
we would have to look at it at the time.
At the time,
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, moving on to 11 oblique 307. To consider a report from the Director of Leisure and Environment attached on page 7 to 12. Over to you, Katie.
Thank you, Chair. Happily, we're at season change. It has been a really wet and challenging first winter, it has to be said. So I'm delighted to have driven into committee this evening in daylight, which made quite a lovely change. I won't cover everything in the report detail, but just to go through some of the highs and lows, I suppose. At a very high level, the In Bloom preparation is underway for the summer months, and our Parks Engagement Officer is encouraging community projects as part of that and has her first volunteering session going out next week. For open spaces, we were delighted to recruit a really great new assistant to the estates team who starts next week, and hopefully you will meet James as he's out and about on the open spaces and working with the estates team in the allotments as well. We have set a challenge for ourselves this year by entering Sydney Gardens for its first ever Green Flag Award. Never been entered before. I don't think many of the open spaces across town have. So there will be a judging visit in the late spring, summertime for that site, and we'll see how we fare. We feel it is ready. We wouldn't have entered it if we didn't. Ready for its green flag, but that would be great to extend our portfolio of award-winning sites. And what's really nice is with the season change is that the new trees planted at Birchfield around the open space and the bulbs at Turners Barn Lane are all starting to bud up, and we're seeing real improvement in biodiversity across these sites. For allotments, the Leylandi hedge at Monksdale has been successfully removed, and there have been a lot of positive comments that have come back from the plot holders at that site. And the winter management and clear-ups have gone well, and I think we're seeing positive relationships being built between the estates team and the tenants as they start to get used to seeing the team coming back onto the sites every month. For play, there's been some positive improvements and replacement of equipment across the different play areas, and we've taken a particular look at muggers as well. There is some new line marking starting coming over the next few weeks, looking at putting the courts back down that have just rubbed off over the years. So you've got netball courts, football pitches, all going back down on some of the hard standing so that there's somewhere for the children, well, and adults, because there's netball going in at Milford, which is really popular, ready for the spring, summer. Our estates manager has been looking in detail at the condemned play castle at Milford. We feel ready now to start the formal procurement to remove and replace that item. And so we will start looking at, because we've scoped ideas and we understand the costs of each element of removal and build, so we're able now to start putting together the invitations to quote, and that will come to a future committee so that we can get that replaced through the summer months. For the Country Park and Sampson's Wood, the green flag inspection for the Country Park was booked this morning and they're coming mid-May. And 2 grant-funded projects have completed, including establishing a small tree nursery and completing the forest school canopy near to the lake. The next project for the Ranger team is replacement of the Pondit platform, which has reached the end of its natural life. It's rotted away. And we need it, but it really is a critical part of educational provision on site, because access to the lake, access to the water, looking at invertebrates is really key. And so at the moment, we're just starting to get quotes in for replacement platforms to see how we can do it. At Yeovil Recreation Centre, we continue to try and resolve the parking issues in Chiltern Grove. Some positive movements in discussion with Somerset Council Highways, but Somerset Council require the changes to be resident-led. And so I'm progressing that route, trying to work with some of the residents that we've built relationships up with. The evidence that the residents want a change in terms of double yellow lines and potential parking permits needs to come from them. And so we're just trying to basically pull that together and make that happen. And the activities officer has been working hard to prepare the athletics arena for the 2026 season, which starts really quite soon. And we're very grateful to the Yeovil Olympiads for a grant of £5,500 towards replacement equipment down at the arena, because there's a lot of very specialist equipment that a lot of it doesn't come cheap. So we're grateful for their partnership working on that. Service-wide, I wanted just to provide an indication of what the teams are working together towards in terms of events. It's a big long table, and I just felt it was important to show the breadth of subject material that we're looking to deliver over the rest of this calendar year. And it sees officers coming together across all the different teams to deliver events and engagement. And with the community wardens, we've got some really nice things programmed in terms of litter picking, dog fouling awareness, and doing educational work at the Country Park. Just finally, but I said it at the start of this, it's been a challenging winter. It's clearly highlighted where we need to continue to improve as an organisation, particularly in terms of health and safety. And as a directorate, we're now working through risk assessments to provide updates for what we've learned over the past few months. And we're also making sure to get together and take on board staff feedback so we can make sure that we're future-proofed as well. And I think that's it, Chair.
Thank you very much. Any questions? Dave, first of all.
Thank you, Chair. Just want to pick up on the Chiltern Grove issues you mentioned there about the consultation being resident-led. As town member for College Ward, I'm happy to assist with that. If there's any door knocking or public interaction, happy to get involved with that.
I'd be really grateful, thank you.
Okay.
Ashley?
Yeah, perhaps could I ask the officer through you, Chair, about the Western Road recreation ground. There's a goalpost that we replacing. Is that something, because it's a scheduled monument consent area, is that something we've got on the agenda, or is it sort of backstopped?
No, we are talking to Historic England at the present, we're talking to Historic England at the present time. You're allowed to dig to a depth of about 6 inches before you require consent. So we're just working out how deep the goalpost foundations need to go, whether they need to go deep, whether they need to go out, and then that will give us the answer for Historic England and whether or not we need to get consent. So we've got the price for the goalposts, we're ready to go, we're just waiting to tick the box.
Fair enough, thank
Tony?
Yeah, thanks, Sharon. Can the officer clarify with regards to Chiltern Grove, when it says residents' involvement, it has to be resident-led, because that is the criteria for having it, because it has to be a certain percentage of residents, and you can't, this authority cannot seem to be coerced in getting support for one scheme or another. So it has to be resident-led, and they mean resident-led. It's been like that with Residents Parking for years.
Yeah, do you want to
Am I correct?
Yes, absolutely. And unfortunately, the first resident consultation that I completed was very much around double yellow lines. And actually the solution isn't just double yellow lines. So now we need to discuss other, as suggested by the Somerset Council Highways Officer, we need to discuss and ask the residents to lead on suggested alternative solutions. Yes, but it needs to come from them.
If I can just add a bit more.
You can come back, yeah.
If I am correct, it is not just the residents of Chiltern Grove, it is the surrounding residents which has to be consulted.
Because it might move the problem,
That is where the problem lies.
Yeah.
Okay, Dave, you want to
Yeah, through you, Chair, is just a bit of clarification on what Tony's saying. Can the members initiate? Can a member or the council initiate that consultation with the residents, or do the residents have to come forward to say they like us to get involved?
But the residents are coming to us and complaining. So
Okay.
I feel, personally, I feel that we need to assist in a solution.
Yeah, I think a common sense approach might go down well here. If the residents have come forward, certainly I feel incumbent as the member for College Ward to be happy to go around and receive the feedback from them and bring it back to the council.
Can I come back, Chairman?
Yeah, you can, yeah.
On that issue, I've dealt with a few residents' parking schemes around the east side of the Oval in the past. And there are guidelines laid down for the residents to follow, which have to be followed, and certain percentages which have to be met. And if anything's done to deviate from that, that is why they say it's residents-led. It has to be their ideas and which they put forward to the highways in that paperwork, and it's their guidelines. And when a lot of them have seen the paperwork, and it's not onerous, because of the implications which it could have further down the line, they tend not to want to pursue it any further.
Do you want to come back on that on something else, or
No,
because we can talk about procedure outside the meeting if need be?
I need clarification on whether I am able to actually just go knocking doors and asking for canvassing residents for their opinion. I have dealt with the numbers that Tony's talking about. I've dealt with at least one street, for the record, Picket Lane. And the numbers are fairly arbitrary. Highways recommend 75% of the residents, but they are minded to listen if there's more than half of the residents. So it's a fairly arbitrary number. I just need clarification on whether I'm able to go knocking doors.
I think that's something that could be discussed outside the meeting, really.
Okay.
But you could go to Kate and find out, and if you want to put your help forward, help, but if not, then if you can't do, it's not something you can do, then don't do. But that's something for outside the meeting, I think.
Yeah, okay.
Any more questions or something to clarify? Okay, so all I'd like to say is, again, as I said last time, thank you very much to this team. I know it has, you've done an amazing lot of work over what people would class as a quiet time of year. and also, the other thing is the weather has not been on your side. I don't think I've been down my allotment really, just a couple of visits in a couple of months, because I just can't get down there. It's just been raining constantly. So, I do take my hat off to you all, and I want you to just pass on this committee's thanks for all the hard work they've been doing. Thank you.
Can I just come back on when I talk on that and list of work that's going on? There was a great couple of days had at Burfield Park. The weather was the best few days of the winter. It was up there. And we had great fun with the school children coming out in groups, planting the trees around the it was a brilliant one.
It was torrential, Tony, but it was still brilliant. I thought I was going to lose you down a mud slope. Oh.
But there was all the children though were
Oh, I
so
loved it.
enthusiastic, weren't they?
Yeah.
So moving on to 11/308, dog control PSPO consultation, to consider a report from the Director of Leisure and Environment attached on page 13 and 14. Do you want to say anything on this?
I will have, yes,
Yeah,
please, thank you,
yes,
Chair. So you were probably aware of this, that Somerset Council currently out to, let's call it pre-consultation on the new dog control orders, so public space protection orders just for dogs, for across the whole of Somerset. And the consultation is open until March the 20th, so the very end of next week. My thanks to Councillor Wone for flagging this to me a number of weeks ago. This pre-consultation is open to town and parish councils, and that's why I've brought it to you this evening. And there are two types of dog PSPOs, which I've put there in the report. And it should be noted that dog fouling applies anywhere where public have free access. So you don't have to have a PSPO. If the public are free to access a piece of land, it is given that they should be clearing up after themselves. It doesn't have to have a specific PSPO on it. So we as a town council are being asked to look at the existing PSPOs for our area of Yeovil and update Somerset Council on any amendments or any changes that we think there should be. And I've put the link into the current, what was South Somerset District Council PSPOs. To be fair, there's not a lot of information on it. There's no maps, so it's fairly generic. I've included my suggestions and comments that should be submitted to Somerset Council. And so I'm asking if members have anything else that they would like to consider being added to a joint response from the Town Council. I think some of these areas you would expect, and I also will be adding the fact that we would like more support with enforcement. So the areas I'm suggesting as additional is Yeovil Recreation Centre, to be included on a dogs on lead by direction, because we have ongoing issues with dog fouling on the sports pitches, which is a real health issue in terms of particularly children, getting dirty when they're playing football or whatever. And then dogs off the leads when we've got junior park run on a Sunday morning, and dogs off leads chasing children participants, so neither of which is ideal. So the suggestion would be, if committee are happy, that we add Yeovil Recreation Centre. Nine Springs Lake area already has a dog exclusion zone that was put in place by South Somerset District Council. It has worked brilliantly. If anyone watches the Facebook feed for the country park, we now have otters popping up and waving at you, and nesting birds right up close. The waterfowl are safe, they breed, and that is why that went in. So I would very much like to petition Somerset to keep that one in place, because it does work. I'd be pointing out the play areas that are fenced, and I'd be pointing out that our estates team have fed back, and they believe Western Road Rec and Grass Royal are really suffering from dog fouling at the present time. So that's what I was going to put in. Obviously, members are able to contact the enforcement team at Somerset Council, and I've put the consultations email in the report if they'd like. But if you would like me to look at suggested additions, if you could get information across to me by the 18th of March, I would be very grateful. In terms of next steps, once Somerset Council has reviewed everything that comes in from all towns and parish and councils across Somerset, they will develop the new proposed PSPO maps, and that goes out to public consultation. So everyone gets to see and comment on what's proposed. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Go to Andy on the screen at the moment first.
Are you aware that the enforcement is not a statutory service, so you might not get a good response from the council on that one?
I think when I listened back to the briefing, there's only something like 11 enforcement officers for the whole of Somerset. So it's not a surprise, but if you don't ask, you don't get. That was the premise I was working on.
No, I agree. I just warning you off that you might not like the response.
Yeah, noted.
Tony next.
I'd like to propose that this committee accepts the officer's recommendation. I think that is a sensible, with dogs on leads where there's playing pitches as
Yeah.
a safety issue. And I think that should be followed up. And we have got our own wardens, or partly got our team up together.
Yeah.
And I think it's something which we should pursue. If you've got, not anti-dogs, but you have to be responsible.
Yeah, I'll second that from the chair. Don't oppose it. Dave first, and Ashley.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you, Chair. As the again for the member for College Ward, and also as the member, the county member for, Somerset member for Yeovil Central, it's on my patch, and I'm aware of the problems that we have there. It's with dogs on leads. It's mainly to do with the park run, the junior park run that takes place on Sunday. The number of incidents that were reported are very low. There was only 2 incidents, I think, in something like 18 months. And I got involved with the member consultation at Somerset Council. I've spoken to Katie about this, and the difficulty we've got is to do with, firstly, identifying the dog owner if the dog starts misbehaving, and secondly, it's about enforcement. It's nigh on impossible under those circumstances to have the correct authorised person on the ground for the park run events which take place on Sundays.
I think the report we're looking at is, are we going to accept this? And then I think enforcement's a completely different issue at a later date. I know enforcement's hard, but we're looking at what zones are we going to put through and what we're recommending Katie to go back with.
Yeah, can I then suggest that we introduce more robust and visible signage in amongst all that, because the signage that's there at the moment is, I've had a walk around in the park, it's virtually non-existent.
So we could probably bring that to another committee if needed. We're just looking at this report for now.
Yeah.
Ashley, you want to come in this? Was that right?
Yeah, a couple of things. Just on the basis of evidence, is it anecdotal, or are we having? Could I have some feedback on whether the evidence is there, apart from the fact that it may be on the ground, but coming from the point of view of the presence of people complaining to the council, etc. That's one part. The regulatory factor is obviously a question mark over that. The training of any officer for this, I'm not sure if you're aware, but there are exemptions for cleaning up after dogs.
Yeah.
You are?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Which is fine. So it's just the evidence I'm looking for. Is it anecdotal?
I should imagine that members of the public get in contact with you as ward members.
But we need more than that to actually.
No, I think. But if you couple that with the knowledge from our estates team on the ground, which is what, if we have a joint response going in from the town council, if you come to me and say, I've had 3 complaints from residents over the past 6 months about Windham Hill, Yeovil Country Park, and then I talk to the ranger team and say, so what's your perception? I would be able to shape that into the fact that site staff coupled with resident complaints, I feel that would be the kind of thing they'd be after.
Who's they? Sorry.
Somerset Council enforcement.
Because that's what I'm trying to say is, if we haven't got proper evidence that it stacks up.
I don't think
the public. Because the public is,
actually, I don't think we're going to be recommending sites that haven't got enough evidence on them. I think Katie, our director, knows.
I was asking for whether there was a list of it,
Yeah, I'm sure Katie would bring forward only sites, but she believes, and now she's putting it forward to us as well to bring back sites that
it's right to
maybe
ask
will.
Because of public,
it's
the public spaces.
Yeah, that's fine. So, any more questions before we move on? Okay, so there's 2 things got on here. Firstly, is to note report. Can we note report?
Yeah.
Yep.
And to submit the details of justified evidence of any land where dog control PSPO should be considered to the Director of Leisure and Environment by the 18th of March, so the Town Council can respond. Okay. Moving on then.
I'm off.
All right. Thank you for coming, Dave.
Thanks, Dave. Take care.
So 11 oblique 309, floodlighting procurement for Yeovil Recreation Centre, to consider a report by the Director of Leisure and Environment attached on page 15 to 18. So over to you again, Katie.
Thank you. So this report summarises the procurement process towards replacing 2 sets of old halide floodlights at Yeovil Recreation Centre. The process was pursued because the 13-year-old lights are now electricity heavy. They have really high maintenance costs, and actually they're providing increasingly poor lighting for sports, which is their fundamental purpose. At Yeovil Recreation, we have 2 pitches with lights. The athletics arena has 12 columns with 32 lights, and the artificial pitch has 11 columns, also with 32 lights. I, in the report, have explained the process that I followed and that we received 11 responses to the invitation to quote. The evaluation of bids that came in was across the cost, which had a 60% weighting, quality, which had 20% weighting, and environmental and social value elements, which was also 20% weighting. The table in your report shows the total net cost for both sets of replacement lights, and they're ordered by their total evaluation score, which is out of 10. So bidder A scored 8.8 out of 10 because they had both a very financially competitive bid and also they demonstrated really good social, environmental value and quality strands. I can confirm that bidder A's clarification questions, which have been received already, are satisfactory and the quote is robust. In the report, I've provided a review of the cost and carbon savings that are anticipated if we were to pursue this replacement scheme. The anticipated cost savings are comprised of a decrease in energy costs and also a decrease in maintenance cost, coming in at about £13,500 per annum savings. The costs to progress this project would be £45,930, as Yeovil and Sherborne Hockey Club have pledged a £10,000 grant towards the upgrade. As officers, we've explored a number of other funding options, and we also await the outcome of a request to Yeovil Olympiads Athletics Club to see if they are in the position to also provide a grant towards the work. But worst case scenario, if we're to go ahead, we would need to cover costs of £45,930. To fund these works, it's proposed to split costs between the Climate Change Reserve and the Yeovil Recreation Centre Reserve. The Climate Change Reserve would be paid back £5,500 per year across 4 years, because that's what we would be making in energy savings. So that's the link to climate change. I think that's all I wanted to sort of high level say. So there's a number of recommendations to enable the project to progress. I've brought this now because there is a need to, if we want to do this project, to keep it moving now, and I couldn't wait for another 2 months to bring the recommendations to committee, because works would need to take place in the high summer, ready for towards the end, sort of September, October time, when the clocks change again, when you need to turn the floodlights back on. So that's the timeline. That's why, sorry, you've got so many recommendations, because we needed to give a bit of a critical path. I do hope that the report enables members to make decisions. So thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I think, was it you, Tara, for one?
Yeah. It's a really good report, really detailed. Thank you very much for that. You can see that the tender process is robust, what options considered, has the details around the scoring, etc. So yeah, thank you very much for that. I've got 2 questions. I'm happy to support the recommendations, to be honest. I just wanted to check 2 things.
Yep.
One, which is probably the easiest one, we talk about taking from the reserves and then what remains in those reserves after. Does that include what we've already agreed and then from any of those or good? So
yes,
so that's all coming off. So those figures kind of cover that as well. My second one is just around the benefits plan for this. and actually being able to see
Yeah.
that we are realising those benefits from this, and could we, 6 months after this has taken place, or 6 months after we start using them again in the winter, see benefits assessment come back, and after a year, so that we're actually seeing and are able to kind of ratify that we made the right decision on this. So being able to see that those benefits have been realised over the next few years.
Yes.
But happy with everything.
Sounds
on it.
very
It
sensible.
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Ashley?
Sorry, we'll go back to it. Yeah, it's a technical question, if I can. I don't know if you're going to remind yourself whether you've got this information at hand. But the Kelvin strength of the lights to be replaced, is it, what sort of Kelvin strength is it?
I don't know, I'm afraid. What I do know is that the hockey pitch is 350 lux and the athletics arena is 200 lux.
Yeah, okay. Just mindful of the fact that there's another council in London that's just been taken to court for putting on too high a strength.
Oh, okay. So,
and they lost because of that.
Yeah. So,
so I was just indicating that
I'm
there is
worried,
problems with getting that light value right, because it can actually affect other people's eyesight, funnily enough. So if that can be sort of considered.
No, absolutely. The sports have recommended lux levels. So hockey, is much higher than athletics for fairly obvious reasons, which is why the lux levels are set. And the other reason I've got quite a long lead-in time, because I need to put in a pre-application planning inquiry to make sure, do we need to go for full planning again with all of the lighting displays and information about lux levels, or because we have got existing floodlights, and these floodlights, if we were to do LEDs, the spill is less. So actually the implications for our residents is better because there's less spill out into the surrounding green space and therefore their properties. But I am really confident we've got the right level, but I just need to check about planning consent.
And the second question would be around recycling of the lights that come out.
Yeah.
Is that all included in the cost?
Yes, and that was part of the environmental assessment, which was 20% of the rating. And it's about, they've all bidders have had to provide examples of their waste management policies, their recycling, and we graded them based on their responses to that question.
Right. Thank you.
Andy, online.
Thank you, Chair. It's a simple question. How many of these bidders are local compared to around the country? Does that make sense?
It's probably about 50-50, and they're quite a significant.
Are you giving any priority to the local ones? I'm not saying you should give it to them. I'm saying, are you giving them any priority?
I have been looking at whether they talk about investing in local services and their social value policies. Do they buy their materials locally? Do they employ locally? If they are coming from further afield, will they be staying locally so that the money from the project would still get invested back into the town of Yeovil?
Okay, you've answered the question, Quaty. That's good. You've looked into it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, so we'll move forward with recommendations.
Yeah, okay.
So the first one is to note report. Has everyone noted the report? To consider the financial and carbon benefits of progressing and replacing the floodlights.
Is everyone happy, or can we have a show of hands?
Do you want to show hands on that?
Just because there's so many.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, we'll show hands.
Thank you.
To agree to appoint Bladder A, subject to the outcome of a clarification question and completing of a due diligence to deliver the floodlights replacement scheme. Show of hands for that as well, please.
Great.
Great. Thank you.
To agree that, is it Blidder?
Bidder,
Blidder.
like for a bid.
All right, I thought it was her name.
Specsavers.
Yeah. And note, need clarification to due diligence requirement for next highest score. I'll say no. Bidder to appoint, subject to clarification questions and due diligence
Lucky we're not recording this.
to deliver the floodlight replacement scheme.
I think you should have a little bit more on that, Sharon, because when you look at your next lowest figure, it says competitive price, but no evidence of relevant past projects. So I think it's on there, should be on that, not just on price, but on ability to deliver what we want.
Okay.
Will you read the rest?
Okay, so can I have, sorry, a clarification? So number 4, so to agree that should bidder, right. So what else do we want added there? Sorry, just for clarification.
So is that Tony?
What would you say?
Yeah, what you said.
Would it be a reassessment of the remaining bidders?
Yeah.
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 Okay.
Rather than just consider it, because
Considering
actually
one.
some of them are quite close. So,
Yeah.
Thank you.
So number 5, to agree the project should be funded by 22,000 from a climate change reserve and the remainder from a Yeovil Recreation Centre, a sinking fund. And
So yeah, so show of hands for that
yeah,
one.
show of hands again, please.
Yeah.
Anyone in agreement?
Yeah. Yeah.
And to recommend to the finance and policy executive that 22,000 should be released from a climate change reserve to be replenished over 4 years period of £5,000 per annum. Can you show of hands for that one as well, please?
Oh.
Question on that.
Yeah.
Will that come from the savings we've made?
Yes.
So it's a spend to save in a sense.
The replenishment effectively will be from the savings.
So moving on, 11/309 budget monitoring update. To consider the budgeting monitoring update, month the 11th, April 2025, February 2026. Now it's to follow. So that was sent separately in a different email. Everyone had a look at that? Any questions on it? So I just noted, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, does anyone notice that? Noted, thank you. So we'll move on to 11/310, exclusion of press and public. The committee will consider passing a resolution to exclude press and public for the next item according to section 1 and 2 of a public body. Admission to the meeting Act 1960 on the grounds that the public would be prejudicial.
Andy's got his hand up.
To the public interest by reason of the confidential nature of the business to be transcribed. Yes, Andy.
Yeah, I shall leave now because I'm not alone. Okay.
Okay, no problem. Okay, thank you for joining.
Thanks, Renee. Good night.